The Italian Peninsula. The centuries of warfare and foreign rule in Italy led people to identify themselves with their local regions. The people of Florence considered themselves Tuscans. The people of Venice considered themselves Venetians. All in all, Italy was not a unified country. However, Napoleon had installed nationalism throughout Italy. The Congress of Vienna ignored the wants of these nationalists and instead focused on dividing Italy as it suited Austrian interests. Nationalists held secret meetings and even expelled Austrian forces from northern Italy. In 1830, Giuseppe Mazzini set up Young Italy, a secret society bent on creating a unified republic. The people of Italy soon realized that a unified Italy would be beneficial to their lives. It made more practical economic sense, and also the people of the region all spoke the same language, shared the same geography, and had the same religion. This reminded Italians of ancient Rome and the medieval papacy. The Struggle for Italy, Part 1. In 1848, the small kingdom of Sardinia became the leader of the Italian nationalist movement, known as the Risorgimento. In 1852, Victor Emmanuel, the King of Sardinia, appointed Count Camillo Cavour as Prime Minister. Cavour was a crafty politician who used any means to get what he wanted. He believed in realpolitik and was a monarchist devoted to the interest of his royal master. Cavour improved Sardinia's economy by improving agriculture, building railroads, and encouraging free trade to improve commerce. Cavour, however, had a long-term goal to expel Austrian power from Italy and to add Lombardy and Venetia to Sardinia. In 1855, Cavour joined Sardinian forces with Britain and France in the Crimean War against Russia. This didn't help Sardinia gain any land, but it did give Sardinia a voice at the peace conference. It also brought attention to the little Italian kingdom of Sardinia. In 1855, Cavour negotiated a secret deal with Napoleon III, who promised to give aid to Sardinia if Austria declared war with them. A year later, Cavour provoked Austria to attack, and with the help of Napoleon's troops, Sardinia defeated Austria and annexed Lombardy. Nationalists overthrew Austrian-backed rulers across northern Italy and annexed these states to Sardinia. Giuseppe Garibaldi, a nationalist and ally of Mazzini, wanted to take over the two Sicilies and create an Italian republic. With the help of Cavour, he recruited 1,000 red-shirted troops and won control of Sicily. He then marched forward towards Naples. Cavour feared that Garibaldi would create a republic in the south. To prevent this, he sent Sardinian troops to overrun the Papal States and meet up with Garibaldi in Naples. Garibaldi turned over Naples and Sicily to Victor Emmanuel II, who in 1861 was crowned King of Italy. Italy became united in 1870 after the Franco-Prussian War, when Italy regained control over Rome and made it their capital. Trials of a New Nation. Italy had no tradition of unity, and most Italians felt closer ties to local regions than the new nation. The largest regional difference was between the rich Italians in the north and the poor Italians in the south. The north was centered on business and culture, whereas the south was more rural. The population of the south was huge, but consisted mostly of illiterate peasants. There was also hostility between the state and the Roman Catholic Church that further divided Italy. Under Victor Emmanuel II, Italy was a constitutional monarchy, consisting of a two-house legislature. In the late 1800s, Italians were discontent with the government, and socialists organized strikes, and anarchists turned to sabotage and violence. This led to extended suffrage and new laws that improved social continues. Still, turmoil continued though. Italy did develop economically after 1900. Industries sprouted up in the north and industrialization occurred, and education and working conditions improved. There was a huge population increase at this time, which forced Italians to emigrate to the USA, Canada, and Latin America.
The Crimean War was a conflict fought between the Russian Empire and the allied forces of the French, British, and Ottoman empires, who also had the help of Sardinia and Piedmont. The majority of the war was fought on the Crimean Peninsula off the coast of Ukraine, and the conflict was settled when the Treaty of Paris was signed on March 30th, 1856. It was actually the Turkish who first declared war on the Russian Empire in October of 1853. Russia's expansion in the early 19th century had begun to threaten the interest of Austria, Turkey, and Britain, and France had a grudge to bear, having been defeated by Russia in 1812. Although the Crimean War was clearly an attempt to check Russia's expansionist tendencies, it was technically fought under the guise of securing control of the holy places in Jerusalem. The fighting began with the Allies' invasion of the Crimea in September of 1854. Although the Allies were successful in driving the Russians out of the area north of Sevastopol, the Russians were able to further fortify their position within the city itself. Skirting the Russian stronghold, the Allies next attacked at Balaclava on October 24th, a battle that ended with one of the most well-known blunders in military history. It is still disputed as to how British commander Lord Raglan's orders got confused at Balaclava, but the result was that the Allies' light cavalry headed straight into the wrong Russian position, a line of battle for which they were in no way prepared. 118 of the 620 Allied soldiers in the charge of the Light Brigade were killed. At the Battle of Inkerman on November 5th, the two sides fought again, this time with heavy Russian losses. Over the winter of 1854 to 1855, Sardinia joined the Allied forces, and after a failed attempt in June, the Allies finally took Sevastopol on September 9, 1855. In the end, the Crimean War is remembered for the large number of soldiers lost and especially for the neglect, malnutrition, and disease. It marked the disintegration of the Vienna settlement, and it laid the groundwork for the rise of Italy and Germany.